Welcome back to the Hurt Handbook, everybody. We had, honestly, probably one of the best UFC cards of the year, like pay-per-view or fight night. This
well,
past
definitely
weekend,
one
that's
of the
for
best
sure.
fight nights. Like that's not even up for debate.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, no,
The
that
fan
was,
atmosphere really helped it out a lot too. I
that was a
love
great
now they're
card.
coming back, but obviously, as we usually do it, might as well, as we always say, just get right into it. The main event, I mean, honestly, just what a way to like top off the card that was like preceding it, because you had all those knockouts, which we'll obviously get into. We had some crazy fights, but the main event was just like, I mean, it was a war in the sense that like both guys took damage. Like it wasn't one of those like it wasn't like Prohaska versus Teixeira, like in the sense that it was like insane. But it was definitely a really good fight. Like they were throwing hands the whole time. We predicted what was going to happen with the grappling. Like Emmett did try and take him down a couple of times, didn't really work. So the fight was on the feet. And Josh Emmett, I mean, he looked a lot better than both of us kind of thought he would. I think it was very even. Like I don't have a problem with the scorecards. Like I think that there were a couple rounds that were like very, very close. And just throughout the whole fight, though, I think they both did, a lot of things well. Like I think Kattar used his
Those
jab
first
well.
two rounds were definitely like super close to call. But
First one especially.
I think essentially that round 3 to Emmett is what the turning point was. And then I think just honestly the rest of the way the judges they went with damage over, volume.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was was. Like, did they actually like ever release like the actual scorecards or no? I'm kind of curious.
Nah.
Because I wonder what the rounds like by round scoring would be, because like me personally, I had it like round 1 was the round that I wasn't sure about, and then 2 and 3 I had Emmett, and then the last 2 I gave Kattar. Oh, here we go. I think there is an official scorecard. All right, so here we go. We got, did it say their names? Okay, yeah. Chris Lee, he gave it to Josh Emmett. He gave Emmett rounds 1, 3, and 4, and then he gave Kattar rounds 2 and 5. Doug Crosby gave Kattar rounds 2, 3, and 5, or 2, 4, and 5, and then Emmett he gave 1 and 3. So I guess I get that one. And then the Sal Diamano obviously was the one that decided it. And he gave pretty much like kind of how I, in a way, kind of saw it. The first 3 rounds to Josh Emmett, and then the last 2 for Kattar. And then Josh Emmett wins, obviously, on 2 of the scorecards. So definitely not bad. We've seen some sus scoring in Texas in the past. Remember Jones Reyes? That was like the worst. I remember.
Even on this card, there was a really just sus. Like, just another one of like, what fight is this judge watching? But we'll get to that.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even remember. So this might
We'll get to it. You'll know, yeah.
But this one, I don't think you could really be mad at either way, like how it could have gone, because like you just said, it was the story of damage versus volume. I think they both did a lot of damage. I mean, they both looked pretty messed up after the fight. But I think like at the end of the day, like it looked like Emmett was landing like bigger shots, even if it wasn't like as often as Kattar's jabs, because he used his jab.
Kattar's
really
jab
well.
it was almost like Josh Emmett was just, all right, he's going to throw the jab and I'm just going to take it.
Yeah, he was fast with the counters. Like even the overhands, which like you figure would take a lot longer, but maybe it was just because he was like a lot shorter, so it was like a more of explosive movement. Yeah. But his overhands and his hooks, like Emmett looked really fast in there, especially for like an older fighter who's coming off like some injuries. Like I was impressed by it, and like obviously now Emmett is thrusted into that top 5. I love the call out too, the way he said he wanted the title fight next. He said there's a big title fight going on a couple weeks. I want to be sitting cage side to see who my next opponent is.
That's smooth.
That's it right there. I mean, Alex Volkanovski has said in the past many times that the way to get a title shot in his division is to just be active and beat like the top guys, like just win some fights. And I mean, with this one, I think Emmett has definitely thrusted himself in a position where he could get a title fight if Volkanovski wins against Holloway in July. But the other one that I had in mind in terms of the featherweight fights is the one in Long Island, Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez, because who knows what happens with that, plus the title fight in general. That's a whole other ball game. Like, I don't know, it's
Alex
weird. Versus Max.
I feel like it's definitely not, Volkov and Rosenstrike sense. It's like, it's really like, it's more about who the loser is rather than the winner. But honestly, I think it's like equal, implications for both the winner and the loser of that fight between T-City and Yair Rodriguez. Because, because just both clearly, like, two of easily the best featherweights in the world, like, period. Yeah. There's no question around it. And either one wins that fight, like, you have to put them right back in that title picture. But
that's true.
It's so weird. I feel like the one who loses, like, gets relegated to, like, gatekeeper territory, which obviously, like,
in the Yair versus Ortega fight. Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in, just because, like, you could, if the world was a just place, the winner of that fight would fight would fight Josh Emmett, and then the winner of that would fight for the title, but that's just not how it's going to go. No. They don't want to, like, screw over different contenders in the future, like, because then now they only have one. But I think it depends on who wins. I feel like if Yair wins, they'd be more likely to give him a title shot, just because, like, he had that war with Max Holloway, and he's looked good, obviously, against others. But I think if Ortega wins, that's when it gets a little dicey, because I don't think you can give him Volkanovski, like, right away, because I don't think that was a close fight. And then you look at Holloway,
I think Brian Ortega wins, like, if Volk wins, you got to do Emmett versus Volk.
Yeah, that might be it. Or even Emmett versus Ortega, if they want to try and thrust Ortega back into a title shot. Because I don't know how they do it. I feel like they'd
want to wait to see the title fight between Emmett and Volk. And then, Volk wins that one, then you just do...
I don't know, though. I feel like because you know how the fucking UFC is with, like, giving people just title shots. They don't really happen very often. Like, Leon, look how long it's taken Leon Edwards.
I'm just saying what I think should happen, but...
Yeah. No, I agree. I would love... Personally, I want to see him fight for the title next. I agree with you. Like, he's earned it. Like, Kattar was number 4. He's going to be in that top 5.
Yeah,
and
man.
Considering that Yair is technically right now coming off a loss, and you got the title fight. Like, I don't... It all really, like, everything comes down to that title fight, because if Max wins, like, do they make a 4th fight between him and Volkanovski? Like, how do you even... Where do you go from there? Like, because Volk won the first 2, and if Max wins it again, like, I could understand them making a 4th fight, but then you got Volkanovski, who's also talked about going up to lightweight and stuff. Like, maybe he would just do that. I don't really know. Like, that division's in an awesome spot, though, just because there's so many. Or maybe
even if he beats Max, like, he goes to lightweight anyways and then tries to become a double champ. Who knows?
That might be the move, and then we could see Emmett versus the winner of Rodriguez versus Ortega. Yeah. And, like, I wouldn't even hate that, though, because Volkanovski, at this point, I feel like he's earned, like, a shot to go up and beat whoever's there. But I don't know if that's even going to happen, because now with Charles Oliveira, and the belt being vacant, who knows who he's going to fight or when he's going to be fighting. He's called... Do you see he called out Conor? Oliveira, I'm talking about.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Of course. Yep.
If that happens, I might just quit. I might just stop. This podcast might be over. I don't know how I can come up here and talk about that. That would make me so upset, but...
Yeah, man. I don't know. I feel like Charles shouldn't be, resorting to that. Like, he's above Conor McGregor.
You think the way he sees it is like, I technically should still be the champion, so let me just get, like, an easy fight and get this win, get the belt back, and then fight the next contender like Islam, because Islam's a risk. That's a risk.
No, yeah, hell, I mean, yeah, you beat the guy with the tons of name value in Conor McGregor, you get all this hype back around your name. It's like, I mean, that don't make sense as, like, a tune-up or whatever. I mean, it's like, Islam Makhachev is just a whole nother animal, but...
Yeah, who knows how that fight goes. Him versus Conor, though, I think Conor gets finished within 2 rounds. Like, we've been talking about that fight since, like, 2018. Like, it's crazy. But, like, and now that it's a reality, like, in a way, it's kind of crazy, like, that it's even being talked about. And I still think what I thought back then, I think Oliveira would beat him. It's just... I feel like because of that, though, Volkanovski's in a tough spot if he beats Holloway, because then he's just got to fight the next guy, which could be Emmett. Like, that might be the one they do, but I just feel like that's not as it's not as much like name value or as much hype as they'd probably want behind it, because at that point I feel like Volkanovski's kind of proven that he's the best, like, clearly, and it's gonna be hard to sell like anybody beating him, like, especially after this fight. Like, if Calvin Kattar was able to pick him apart like that, even in like a loss, but like, imagine what Volkanovski's gonna be able to do to him.
Like, you know, if Usman loses to Leon, then Volkanovski's number one pound for pound.
Well, I've been waiting on that. I need that to happen regardless. I think it's just the obvious case personally right now. Like, Usman's beaten Masvidal twice, and they put him at number one. But I think he's number two. Like, I'm not hating. Speaking of, oh my God, that just sounded like something that reminded me. Did you see that Ali Abdelaziz said, yeah, just watched back the 205-pound title fight, can confidently say that Usman would beat Yuri, Glover, and Jan. Not talking trash, just being real. I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, oh my God, this guy.
Someone's just got to take his phone away from him.
Well, he would have all the other guys' phones to tweet it with anyway. He would just use Habib's account. I'm sure he's got plenty.
Oh man, dude, that's so true.
That guy's probably got like 30
so
phones
crazy.
like in his closet that he just tweets with. Khabib,
one dies,
like,
he just
Henry
pulls out the other one.
It's just so bad. Like, I remember one time even Usman tweeted, he's like, you guys gotta like stop giving him your passwords. He's like, I love like when Khabib especially like he tweets like random stuff, like it'll just be like things about like
it's so just odd, like you know like you'd see that the fans reply too, like, all right, Ali, you're right, Ali, like give.
Do you think he's just trolling at this point? I feel like he might just be trolling.
He's doing a pretty freaking good job at it.
He's a nasty troll. Like, it is incredible. Nobody will ever beat Skip Bayless though. Skip Bayless is the goat of all trolls, considering that he's been on.
Dude, but you can easily argue that Ali is the Skip Bayless of MMA. Except I guess
about
Ali
that.
is
Stephen A. might be the Skip Bayless of MMA for being real.
I mean, I don't really hold Stephen. I don't even pay attention to what Stephen A. says regarding.
I love how they only bring him in for the Conor fights and maybe the Masvidal ones sometimes. I think they brought him in for Colby Masvidal. But, like, notice how we haven't seen him for a few months? It's just bad, bro. But anyway, I mean, I think we've exhausted all the options for the main event. I mean, considering that we've just pretty much gave a layout of the featherweight and lightweight division at this point. But going on to the co-main, I know you're pretty happy. Kevin Holland submits Tim Means with a Darce. That was quite the performance. I'll just leave this one to you first, though. What did you think of Kevin Holland's performance against Tim Means?
So it looked like he was gonna get the knockout finish that I predicted he would, but for him to for him to come that close and then just slip into that Darce and then just get the submission finish, it's like move. Wow, man, dude, this is a new Kevin Holland we're seeing, dude. It's scary.
Even his takedown defense looked incredible.
I mean, credit to Tim Means, like he, like you said, like there was absolutely no reason. There was no reason to discredit or sleep on him coming into that fight either. Like, he brought a fight of his own. He was giving Kevin Holland some good shots and whatnot, some good output.
Love watching Tim Means fight. I'm so happy when I saw that get booked.
Kevin Holland he's a problem again. He's a problem again. He's just better. I just think he's just more focused and just, while he's still clearly you can see still having fun and all that in there.
Because he's a superhero too. He's like saved like 3 people outside of the octagon. Like, the guy's literally like, did you even see what he said? He goes, everybody's trying to say I'm Superman, Batman. He goes, I'm Black Man. I was like, he's just the best. I love like listening to his media days and shit like that. Even his interviews are just like fantastic. But yeah, in this fight, he looked really good. The only thing with me is like, I just feel like if he tried to use his range a little bit better, he'd really just be unstoppable. But I think the reason for example, like Tim Means was getting some shots in on him is just he overextends so much, and for a guy who's so tall like he is, I just like
it's hard to cover up when you do that. So
that's why he's getting hit like in the pocket, because he's got more space to cover as he's going out, and like he's trying to push him away, but as he's doing that, he's putting his hand down.
Dude, he's got hit. Like Adesanya type reach. Like, it's crazy.
If you would just use it, especially at welterweight, like now he's even taller. Man. How is he 6'4"? No, he might be a little shorter. I'm kind of curious now. Let's see. Because if he's
3 or something.
I know he's like fairly tall. 6'3", yeah.
Yeah.
So for at welterweight, like, that's a nice, like, height advantage, and he has the reach, too, like, because you see his arms. He's got long-ass arms. But in general, I just thought he looked really good in this fight, just because, like, his biggest weakness has always been the wrestling. And I know that, like, Tim Means has good wrestling, but he's not, obviously, like, you know, one of these top wrestlers. And Kevin Holland's takedown defense looked really good against him. Yeah. So we'll see how that improves in the future. He definitely looked a lot more confident in it, like you said. And even just going for the submission in that situation shows that he would have been confident if there was a scramble. So, yeah, I mean, that was a good... Didn't he call out Sean Brady? I saw...
I didn't see his call out.
I don't know if that was like... I thought I saw that somewhere. I should have looked more into it. But if he did that... Kevin, don't do that. Let's not get too crazy with the grapplers here. Sean Brady, like, he'll beat guys like who are actually like good grapplers. Like, I don't want to see Kevin Holland fight Sean Brady. That's just not a good one. That will be 3 rounds of just pure Sean Brady domination. But yeah, I mean, I think Kevin will definitely be thrusted into like the upper like portion of the division, like those top 15 guys, but hopefully they give him more like strikers until he gets towards the top again.
Yeah, fair.
I don't want to see him versus Sean Brady. Maybe against Chiesa. That'd be a cool one. Because Chiesa's like, he's definitely a much better grappler, but the striking is definitely where Kevin Holland is like way better than him. I think that might be an interesting fight, actually.
Chiesa would probably, you know, not to say that it would end the same, but Chiesa would probably give him like the same fight Tim Means was giving him and like for the fight that we got. You know,
I wonder if he's booked, though. Is he booked?
At least on the feet.
Yeah, no, he's not booked or anything, Chiesa, so that'd be an interesting one. I wouldn't mind that. I have the rankings up today. Let me see, like, this time I came in prepared. There's so many guys. Oh, imagine him versus the Leech. Li Jingliang. Oh, my God. That would be or Jeff... Actually, I don't know if he'd fight Jeff Neal because I think they're both Texas guys, but... And then Chiesa's at number 11, so Neil Magny's at number 10. Obviously, he's fighting this weekend, and we'll get into that pretty soon. But, yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Li Jingliang versus Kevin Holland. That'd be a fun one. That might be the new one for me, low-key. If he wins that, you can put him up against, like, those upper-level guys like maybe Wonder Boy, Sente Luque.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that welterweight division is stacked, bro. But, yeah, I mean, overall, great performance by Kevin Holland. He showed a lot of improvements in this one. But on to the next one, Damir Ismagulov versus Guram Kutateladze. Got it. That's definitely what it is. I'm sorry. They had like the main event, another, like, really close fight. And it was very technical. A lot of damage done by both guys. It seemed like... Ismagulov's jab was really landing a lot. Like, you could see Guram was wearing the damage from that, but it was back and forth the whole time. I mean, like the main event, I still don't really have like a final scorecard in my head. I'm not really mad that Ismagulov got the win, but what do you think?
This is the fight I was referring to when I was talking about what the hell. There were some of these judges watching because there was a 30-27 for this fight. Yes, damn. There was 30-27.
Let's see who that was. Let's just expose him real fast.
It was for Ismagulov. Like, okay, like, yeah, I agree Ismagulov won, but come on, like,
I want to see who said that. We're gonna expose that.
Yeah, that was crazy to me.
Versus Kutateladze. Why do they have such long last names?
No, yeah, it was a fun one, man.
They gave it to you. Said they gave it to Ismagulov with that, like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know how you.
I mean, even like,
either of those guys.
even if you wanted, like, yeah, really.
Come on, Jason Staffen. What are you doing? What are you doing? How could they give all 3 rounds to him? Guram, like, he had, I don't know. It's probably the damage, low-key, because he did, like...
Guram had plenty of moments. I mean, like, it wasn't ideal at the end, obviously.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't like that he stopped that, though, because that was clearly... clear. I get why he did, because from Herb's perspective, it's a little bit tough, but... That was a knee to the body, so like I would have been interested to see how that last like 20 seconds was gonna go, but
he didn't. I don't think he lost the point either.
No, which is good. Yeah. They only just made him lose the position, and that was whatever. But that was a really good fight, man. Like I was watching that, I was really hyped up. Like that whole card was getting me more and more hyped as I was watching it. Like
I scored at 29-28. Imagulov originally, but honestly, like, if I went back and watched it, and like, I wouldn't be surprised if I got swayed towards Guram.
Yeah, I can't even make a final one.
It was
in my
super
head.
close, but
It's a lot of like it's all these like the damage versus volume type thing, and like even like there's some like leg kicks in there that you don't really know how much damage it's really doing, because like a lot of these guys have great poker faces and stuff, especially the strikers. So,
I let the judges handle the leg kicks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, good luck. Like that's a fight that I'm happy I don't have to score for a living. Like, but 30-27. I don't know what Jason was smoking down there in Texas. But
Jason, you've been called out. Do a better job.
You've been called out. Anyway, on to another. Just, dude, like. I don't even know how to like describe these fights as I'm going by them, because they're all like pretty much the same. Like that guy and all those Just Bleed memes, like he was really like, that's how I felt throughout this whole fight card. Like Gregory Rodriguez versus Julian Marquez.
Oh my goodness!
Like I know he was like one of our underdogs of the night, but man, like
hey,
Gregory proved us wrong.
We're also getting into Gregory and all, but he at least went out like a freaking champion.
Oh, yeah.
Julian Marquez.
Tough as nails. Like, I don't know how he was still standing after, because Gregory Rodriguez hits hard. Like, those are not, like, pitter-patter shots. He's hitting them with, like, overhands, big hooks, and he was just coming forward, swinging back, bro. I was hoping he'd knock him out. I was like, just
pure instinct, man, at that point.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're gonna have to kill me to win this fight.
Yeah, because there's no point in covering up. You'd be in the same spot. So, like, I love that he just went for it. But that finish, bro, oh, my God. Like, when he finally did sit him down for good, like, over. Like, great stoppage by the ref. I'm glad, like, he let him stay.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely glad he let it go, too.
Gregory, man, like, he's, we both think pretty highly of Julian Marquez, I'd like to think. So, Gregory just doing that to him, and knowing what, like, we know about him, now that he's a jiu-jitsu world champion, so he's got the ground game. And we've seen him throughout his time in the UFC just show that he's got, like, bombs in his hands. Like, he's one of the better fighters in this division. Like, he's just going to keep rising.
And I, for one, am, like, definitely someone who slept on him going into this fight.
No, same here. I mean, I didn't think he was this fast. Like, that was really the crazy part to me, because even Marquez before the fight
completely proved why, showed why he deserved to be the favorite in that fight. So
I thought Marquez's movement and like would do a lot more, and like I know Marquez even said that he thought he was the faster fighter, but it didn't look like it in there. That was just a crazy one. But another crazy knockout on the main card was Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelly. He shut him up for good. I was glad to see that. Dude, like, anytime, like, someone just, like, says something about, like, another culture of people, and then, like, when people get mad, they just immediately blame, like, the woke mob. That, like, just automatically kind of turns me off. Like, because, I don't even think, like, I think all he said was, like, when he was cornering Andrea Lee, he called, like, the Brazilians, like, filthy cheaters or something like that. And, like, people took it, like, badly. But then, like, there's something there when the guy doesn't apologize and then they double down. Because, like, it's just so stupid. And, like, the woke, you can say what you want about the woke mob, and we're not trying to get political with it. But, like, the woke mob doesn't care about, like, low-level fighters who aren't, like, at the like, even Colby Covington, like, has said some shit, and they don't really even care that much about him. Like, and he's at the top of his division, and Tony Kelly just got knocked out by Adrian Yanez. I don't think, those woke people he's talking about are really concerned, to be honest. But, and especially with MMA, too, like, we even see, like, last week, like, how kind of back, like, I'm choosing my words carefully here because I don't really want to go crazy with it, but, like, some people have some archaic views on life, and, like, you saw that especially, like, when Jeff Molina wore the Pride Month things, and he got a bunch of shit for it. So, like, when MMA fans are calling you, like, out for being, like, racist, that there's probably a problem, because they're usually not the types who are going to do that. But besides that, you know, he was fighting Yanez coming in, and like he was even, you know, talking shit to him, and you know, at the weigh-ins even they had to be separated. So going in there was just so much hype, and you could feel like the energy in there. And Yanez pretty much did exactly what we said he was gonna do, just pieced him up, and you know, landed a lot of big shots, and he knocked him out badly. Like, and needless to say, a lot of people were happy to see that, including myself. Like, I'm not usually one who's, you know, rooting for a fighter to get much damage, but like sometimes there's people who deserve just one ass whooping, and he got his. And yeah, I mean, Adrian Yanez, though, like, to highlight obviously the positives of this fight, Adrian Yanez, he looked really good. He had just the slickest boxing. You know, he looked a lot better than he usually does. He was still getting hit a little bit, but you know, we kind of said that comes with the territory when you're fighting a guy who fights like Tony Kelly. It's always going to be a war. But it didn't last very long. Like, just what did you think of Yanez's performance?
You honestly hit the nail completely on the head. It's just more kind of what I said on Friday, honestly. Like, he just continues to skyrocket. I mean, not skyrocket per se, because obviously, we were talking about on Friday, like, you know, where does the UFC choose to go from here with him? You know,
if it's not top 15, like, what are they even doing at this point?
Protecting him, like coddling him is what they would be doing.
He's got the wins though.
Exactly. Now,
he has like 5 or 6 straight wins.
Now, like, yeah, you have to look at, especially a performance like, you know, Saturdays, and be like, you know, it's time. Like, we have to, you know, see if the hype is really, like, you know, real. So
it would be. I'd be interested to see him versus not the winner, but the loser.
I don't have a
of O'Malley
specific
versus Munoz.
You said
the loser of it.
Yeah,
because
I didn't have a specific name in mind, but I agree with you. Like, there should be someone ranked by now. You know?
I would want to see a Sun Tzu. He's at number 15, but I feel like a Sun Tzu is a little bit past it, and I think that's just a bad fight for him. So I just personally don't want to see him take it, but the UFC might go in that direction. Who knows if he's not already booked.
I don't think it's smart either.
Yeah, I would like to see him versus like another younger guy, like in the top 15 in the division somewhere. Maybe, I mean, I kind of want to see Jack Shore go up the division more. He's at 14. And then O'Malley, like I said, is 13. Ricky Simone. It's tough, though, because some of these guys, they get booked and it's like completely under the radar and I don't even realize it. But yeah, I mean, that division, there's going to be no shortage of guys for him to fight. That's the thing. But that was all I really wanted to talk about for the main card. Obviously, Joaquin Buckley had a decent win on there, too. He won by doctor stoppage, kind of, because Durayev's eye looked like a balloon. But there wasn't really too much I had to say about that. I mean, Joaquin Buckley is one of those guys you kind of know what you're getting every time. You know his flaws. You know what he's good at. So it was the typical Joaquin Buckley performance. That's why I didn't even really have like much to say on it initially. But onto the prelims, though, there were just a few moments on there that were definitely worth noting. There were a couple of crazy knockouts, particularly 2 of them that I was thinking of, Ricardo Ramos and Roman Dolidze. Those 2, honestly, knockouts of the night for me.
That Ramos knockout, man. Oh, my goodness.
That was a spinning elbow from hell. That was beautiful. Just straight beautiful.
I was doing a commentary for that fight. Don Cruz, I think beforehand, was talking about, like, you know, that spinning elbow. Like, he just has it down. Like, he lands it efficiently.
Good technique,
and it's like, wow. It's like, and then he was like, yeah, like, you know, the fact that you can, you know, throw a strike like that at this level and then land it as efficiently as you do is like, you might have something to you, you know? But, I mean, just the knockout itself was just cheese, man. That was...
Yeah, they gave bonuses to every fighter who got a finish, too. I saw that. Ooh, I think they gave like 9 of them. That's cool. That was something. I'm always happy to see the fighters get more money. You know that. But, and even the next one that I was talking about, Roman Dolidze, did you see that knee versus Kyle Daukaus? The sound that made going off his forehead, bro. Like, I thought Roman was probably going to beat him, but I figured it was going to be the way that he usually... And, like, even in the beginning of the fight, he had him up against the cage, like, kind of how I figured most of the fight would be. But I didn't think he was going to throw a knee like that to just starch him right there. There were so many great moments on this card, like, and the crowd was fantastic from beginning to end. And just, like, even besides, like, those 2 knockouts, there was one knockout that I kind of wanted to get a little more into. Because of the winner and the loser of this fight, obviously, but Cody Stamann versus Eddie Wineland. that was an interesting fight. I kind of had a bad feeling coming in for Eddie Wineland just because I think fairly highly of Cody. Like, I think he's a good wrestler. He's got heavy hands, but I figured one shot on Eddie, that was probably going to be a wrap, and he hit him with a few shots. It was not just one. He had Eddie hurt bad, and the ref gave Eddie a chance.
Yeah.
Not just one chance. He gave him a lot of chances, and it was just a bad one. And even I saw Eddie taking his gloves off in the cage. I kind of figured that we might be hearing something soon. And obviously Eddie Wineland retires, legend of the game, one of the pioneers of the bantamweight division in the UFC. Like, it's tough. We talk about this with MMA all the time, like how the legends don't really get sent off the way that they should. And, like, for people who have just known Eddie Wineland, like, for his last few fights, like, I remember a lot of people know him from when he got knocked out by Sugar Sean. Obviously, there's this fight. There was that one other fight that he got knocked out bad in. And he's had a rough bunch of losses, but, man, like, he was really good back in his day. I remember, like, back when he was fighting, like, Barao and shit and, like, Uriah Faber. He didn't beat those guys, but just to be fighting those guys at the time, like, that, he was truly, like, one of the best dudes. He had such, like, a crazy stand-up style. He still does. Like, it's just so, like, kind of herky-jerky, like, awkward. Like, you don't really know how to, like, go against it. You just gotta, like, hope for the best and hope he didn't hit you with those bombs that he has for hands. But, as he's gotten older, his chin has definitely seemed to go a little bit. In this fight, you could really see it. And I'm glad that he's retiring, honestly, because he doesn't have anything left to prove. He's never won the belt in the UFC, but I think he won it in the WEC back in those days. WEC is basically how he got all those lightweight classes for anybody who doesn't know. And Eddie was one of the early guys there. But, yeah, just wanted to give him his flowers before I get into Cody Stamann. And, he needed that win bad. And a knockout like that, too, I think that thrusts him also back into the, like, upper echelon of welterweights, bantamweights. Just because, like, I don't think he really ever got that far out of it. Like, he was losing to, like, top 15, top 20 guys, and then they gave him Eddie Wineland. It seems like this was a fight probably to get his confidence back. So that definitely worked. I mean, first-round knockout, just fantastic. Like, I think you definitely got to put him in the top 15, or maybe not top 15, but definitely the top 20, 25-ish. But besides that, did you see Phil Hawes versus Deron Winn?
Oh, yeah. What a clinic by Phil Hawes.
Yeah, he's nasty, bro. Like, he might be, like, one of the most underrated fighters on the roster, like, low-key, just for his skill set, because he's got, like, great wrestling. He's got heavy hands. He knows how to keep his range most of the time. Like, and I mean, against Deron Winn, obviously that's not that hard considering how small he is for the weight class, but yeah, this was a clinic. Did you see apparently he said something to DC after the fight? I saw it on MMA Fighting on Instagram. He apparently had said, like, something, because I don't know if you know this, but, like, Deron Winn obviously is, like, DC's, like, buddy. He trains with him and stuff. So DC probably had an interest going into that fight that Deron would win. So when Deron lost the way he did, I think he said something to him like, yeah, like, you picked the wrong guy, bro. He's like, coming at me like disrespect. He's like, he goes, I'll cool off, and in a week me and you could fight. I was like, yeah, let's not go there, man. Like, I don't know if you want to be fighting DC even at this stage. Like, that's just disrespectful, though. I mean, you can't be we're big Phil Hawes people on this show. Like, we think very highly of him, but yeah, no, like, that wasn't right.
Yeah,
you can't, like, you wouldn't be, like, rooting for like someone on his team over one of your guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you got to realize where some of the commentators are coming from, especially the former fighters. Like, they're training with some of these guys, and you got to cut them some slack if they're being a little biased in those cases. Like, Deron Winn is, like, DC's little brother. Like, you can't be mad.
Jeez,
that, like, you can't be mad that he's just, oh God. Deron, he wanted to fight him. He's like, let's take it easy. I was like, yeah, DC. I don't even want to think about imagine who would win that fight? Prime DC versus Phil Hawes. Imagine at 205. We'll do it at 205. I think DC would win that fight in like a couple rounds.
Yeah, man.
But,
dang, that's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, like it almost like for me, it almost overshadowed how good he did in that fight. Just because I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Don't be calling out DC in there, man. That's the last guy you need to be calling out, especially because like the UFC. I know that they probably have like a weird opinion about Phil Hawes if you think about it, because you remember when I think it was. He had an opponent change, and it was going to be Chris Curtis, and then he pulled out of the fight like the week of. Like the UFC, they don't like when people do that. Like, especially even though like I personally don't have a problem with it. I think that's the smart move for fighters. Like you shouldn't let the UFC like bully you into taking a short notice fight, even if you already had a full camp going in. But I remember I think he didn't take it because like Chris Curtis at the time he trained, I think, with the guy who he was initially supposed to be fighting. So he figured he probably had like more of an idea than he really thought. So then they fought later on. I think Chris Curtis knocked out Phil Hawes, if I remember correctly. So I guess he could have been right there. And then you got like, you can't be dissing DC if you want to be good with the UFC brass. So yeah, but great performance. I mean, I'm just fucking around obviously about Phil Hawes. He's definitely one of the more underrated guys in that division. I hope they give him a nice little step up, because Deron Winn, he's a good wrestler, but small guy for the weight class. I mean, he could probably be fighting at lightweight if he really tried. But besides that, I mean, not much else for me for this UFC Austin card besides that it was just action-packed from beginning to end. And, I mean, if anybody has ESPN Plus or they just want to see the highlights on YouTube, definitely worth watching. There were so many crazy finishes. I mean, there were even fights that we didn't even talk about that were, like, good, close fights. But, with the fight nights, I definitely like to highlight, like, the bigger moments. Yeah. And for this card, there were plenty of big moments. Just crazy knockouts from start to finish. Some great wars, especially in the main event. Just such a close fight. And big implications, too. Like, obviously, we talked about how the main event is huge for the featherweight division right now. And that division is just going to be popping for the rest of the summer, especially as these fights start to come and go. So, but with that, we'll get into, I guess, next week. So as we said in the last Hurt Sportsbook, obviously we're going to be having a big change to the channel. Now there's going to be no more, I guess. Well, I shouldn't say no more, because we are going to do Hurt Sportsbook like on its own for pay-per-views. So you'll see that in July for UFC 276. But for the fight nights, like we said, obviously we're just going to cover the co-main and the main like quicker on the Hurt Handbook. And pretty much with like the betting odds and things like that, or fantasy picks, we're going to be posting more of that on like our social media pages, on the Instagram, on the Twitter. So make sure you guys follow that if you aren't already. And with that, I mean, we could just get into the main or co-main. I guess I'll let you choose which one we should talk about first. I'm excited for both of them.
Honestly, we can get started with the co-main.
Nice.
Just go from the top of the main event.
What's your initial thoughts on the co-main? I love this fight.
I love it too, honestly, and I'm really excited to see what because I don't really think they're necessarily out yet. They might, honestly. I haven't seen, but
I'll look them up.
Yeah, what these early week like odds are looking like, because I would think they're pretty close, if not pick 'em, and kind of not necessarily like the Julian Marquez and Gregor Rodriguez fight, but the underdog here, there's definitely some value to be had in whoever the underdog is.
Right now it's minus 380. Shavkat is the favorite, and then Neil Magny is plus 290.
Oh, the co-main?
Yeah. Oh, what fight were you talking about?
Oh, wait, that's right. No. Shavkat and Neil Magny is the co-main. That's right. I flipped it up. All right. So we'll talk about Shavkat and Neil Magny then. I love this fight, anyways. Though you said Shavkat is the early favorite, right?
Yeah, by a decent margin.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I like this fight for Neil Magny. Honestly, I really think this is like a really like nice, prove it, really prove his worth still in this division and whatnot, and just obviously Neil Magny's had a great career over the course of how long he's been in the UFC, and this is Rakhmonov. I feel like I haven't seen Rakhmonov fight in the cage for quite some time. Is this his first fight?
No, I feel like he fought He fought fairly recently, I think, against someone ranked. No, it wasn't someone ranked. It was February 5th. Carlston Harris. I remember that fight. That's actually why I think so highly of him, because I think Carlston Harris is like another guy in like the UFC who's very underappreciated. Like I think he's very underrated, and that fight with him and Shavkat Rakhmonov, like that was a great fight for as long as it lasted. And Rakhmonov got through some adversity to win that one too. I was impressed by him.
Rakhmonov is a gamer, man.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
He's man, like he's so tough to just put away. And I mean, Neil Magny's really gonna have to bring it in this one for sure. And I think it might change. It might even change a little bit. Like you might see, Rakhmonov as a favorite go down a little bit. Like still obviously.
I feel like Neil will get some action.
Yeah, Neil definitely gets some action. Like right now, like there is certainly there is certainly a lot of value in that moneyline prop right now for Neil Magny, but you can't argue with Rakhmonov as a favorite. Honestly, you really can't. And I can see this going. I can see this finished for either probably more Rakhmonov's direction, but I'm leaning towards more this going the distance, and
that's fair. I'm like conflicted about it. I also agree with Rakhmonov being the favorite, just because like I don't think this one's hype. I think he's the real deal. Like I said, I think very highly of Carlston Harris, and the way he won that fight was incredible. I think that Neil Magny, like the problems that he poses obviously is just because he's so tall, and he's very tough too. Like I think if Rakhmonov like gets overzealous trying to finish him, that might be a problem. But the thing is, I think he's got the cardio to deal with.
Yeah, that could be
same thing with Magny though. I think they both of them like have crazy cardio.
Yeah, that's a good point. Rakhmonov could be in there looking to just end it quickly, and then Magny.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
I think it was Magny's last fight, if I'm not mistaken, was Max Payne Griffin, and Max hurt him like bad in that fight, especially in the first round. And I think Shavkat Rakhmonov, he hits very hard, and he's got strikes coming from everywhere. Like Max Payne Griffin, he was mostly throwing punches, but Rakhmonov, he's got spinning kicks, knees, like elbows, punches. Like he's gonna hit you with everything he's got.
Super talented striker, yeah.
And then besides that, he's got the grappling too. Like I just think he can win this fight almost not in a way that like saying that Magny has no chance.
He has, he has. We talk about
better.
Exactly. We talk about it all the time. Like if a fighter just has more avenues than one fighter to win a fight, that's essentially like.
Magny's gonna have to make it a war. That's the way he's gonna have to win.
Which he very well could. Like he very well could, But no, yeah, man. I think the book's got it right with this one. Right now, I'm backing the favorite. So
yeah,
I think
I
it makes
agree
sense.
with you. I got Shavkat as well. Now I guess we can get to the main event. Now I'll tell you those odds. So Arman Tsarukyan is minus 255 favorite over I think it's Mateusz Gamrot. He's plus 215.
Oh wow! Yeah. I thought it would be. This would be a little closer, but man,
honestly, I'm kind of surprised by that.
I think this is gonna be a great fight, and I'm funny because I got the co-main and this fight mixed up with each other. I'm glad this is the main event.
Yeah, I like 5 rounds between two guys who I think are high level. Even like, because for those of you guys who don't know like either of these guys, just because I don't think the UFC hypes them up as much as some other people, but clearly they think very highly of them if they're putting them in a 5-rounder, and they're both ranked at this point. I think this is such a great fight to show them off to the world.
Man.
They're such high level fighters. Like before I even get into my own pick.
Yeah, what just makes me like confused. I don't know how DK can have such like a definitive favorite. I just that's not to say like this should be pick 'em or whatnot, but I feel like there's if Gamrot's the favorite, and I'm not saying like bet the mortgage on Gamrot, but man, you definitely want to. This is what you definitely want. You can't if you're going to put any sort of money on it, like you're hedging this fight one way or another. You're hedging this fight. So
personally, though, for me, and like obviously like betting perspective aside, like I'm personally though backing the favorite. I got Arman Tsarukyan, and I think that there's a lot of fights of his that I just can't overlook, like especially the Islam one. Like
very true.
If Islam could barely take him down, I don't see Gamrot being able to get him down very easily. And I think that even if he does get him down, Arman will be able to reverse it or get back up. Like, I just think Arman is
I
a
just
great
feel, I just feel like it's going to be, like, not, like, like a literal draw kind of thing, but I feel like it's going to be so close, man.
No,
like,
with that,
split
decision. I'm like, even me saying that, like, I'm not even saying that Arman's going to dominate him. I just think that Arman has more tools on the ground, and I think that he's better just all around right now, and he's fought the tougher guys. I just think that right now, I think he's a little bit better.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I think it's going to be a fight with a lot of crazy scrambles. And I love fights like that. Like those crazy grappling transitions.
And it's going to be interesting to see how that develops over 5 rounds.
Yeah. Both of them going into 5-round fights. I'd be curious to see how they do. I don't know if either of them have had any 5-rounders in like.
I feel like we could it starts off very like grappling oriented, a lot of scrambles and whatnot, and then they just start giving each other's best shots on the feet, and we just get like an absolute striking war.
Yeah, Tsarukyan definitely has not had a 5-rounder. Let's see if Gamrot has had any in his career. It's crazy. Gamrot's 20-1. That's wild. Yeah, so he's had some 5-round experience in right, KSW? Yeah, KSW. Not much though, but he's had it. He's gone in around 4. That's the most he's gone. So I take that as you may. I mean, they both have limited experience, I think, I would say, in 5 rounds. Like, I don't really have enough faith in either of them to really... Because, like, look what we were saying this weekend about Josh Emmett. Like, I even said, like, he's been booked, like, in 5-round fights, and even though he's never gone there, like, I still feel like he probably has the cardio. So in Tsarukyan's case, I feel like just for how high level of a fighter he is, I just have a feeling he'll be all right.
Yeah.
And Gamrot, though, that's the thing. Like, I feel like I've seen him tire out in some 3-round fights against some guys, like, which is a little tough for me. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of this fight, though? You said you think it's going to be pretty close. Do you have anybody who you're leaning towards?
It's really just an odds thing, honestly. Like I said, like if you're gonna put any sort of money on this fight, like I feel like you just have to hedge it, man. Because it's like, especially right now with Gamrot's underdog odds. I just feel like there's a lot of value to be had in that, and favorite makes sense. I'm not saying I disagree with like who the favorite is and whatnot. Definitely makes sense, but I like we're just leaning right now. I just think this is gonna be a really fun fight. It's gonna be close, and
I just love like high level fights like this between guys that like people don't really know, and like we're gonna get 5 rounds of this.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, man.
Love that.
This is a big W for the UFC.
Yeah, like people don't know these guys right now, but this fight is gonna be awesome. Like I think it'll be one of those like types of fights like Guram and Ismagulov.
Exactly,
just a technical war. I can't wait. But
so yeah, that's what I'm trying to emphasize. Like this fight, obviously, like the finish, early finish possibility will always loom. Like it could.
Who knows? I mean, it could happen.
But yeah, man, this is a fight you want to hedge for sure. I definitely want to hedge for sure. But yeah, I can't wait for it. It's gonna be even the co-main is gonna be a lot of fun as well.
Even the rest of the card is gonna be really good. Like obviously, like we're not gonna get into those fights as crazy right now, but man, it's just stacked. There's so many good fighters on this one. Like I'm not gonna like go crazy into predicting it or anything, but
I feel like we're gonna see
Brian Kelleher, Mario Bautista. That's gonna be a war.
Yeah,
so.
I think we're gonna see a lot of decision finishes. Hopefully the judges aren't blind and score it correct.
I think this one's in Vegas, so I feel like we'll be all right. I think it's in the Apex.
Nice.
So nice old Vegas judges. They're fairly reliable, but we'll see how that goes. But obviously, like I said in the beginning of this little segment, no sports book this week. Don't look for it. Like I said, for all the fight nights, they're going to be on here. For every pay-per-view, though, that's when they'll be on Friday. So the next pay-per-view, look out for that. But in terms of the rest of this week, be on the lookout for Talking Tough later in the week, probably on Thursday or Friday. I'm honestly like still trying to think about what I want to do for that, just because like now that we have the extra day, I don't really know. But Yeah, I mean, just be on the lookout for that this week. Obviously, Tough is getting pretty serious, honestly, right now. We're getting towards the end of the quarterfinals. The next fight is the last one. It's the women's flyweight fight between Brogan Walker of Team Nunes and Hannah Guy of Team Pena. I had that memorized, which is kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. I did not think I'd fully remember that. But yeah, I mean, right after that, we're getting into the semifinals, so the tournament's getting crazy. It's been a crazy season so far, so definitely tune into that season if you haven't in those videos. But yeah, I mean, besides that, be on the lookout next week after this card for the next Hurt Handbook next Monday.